The story starts with Yoshino, who lives in a city called Osaka in Japan with her grandfather. She found on the news article her grandfather, who's also the boss of a big mafia family called Kansai, arranging an engagement of her granddaughter with another guy from another mafia family called Kirishima. Yoshino was very annoyed about the idea of her grandfather arranging that date, and even publishing it on the news without even telling her about it. Yoshino's grandpa told her that she's almost 18 and she's very lonely and she must speak with a guy from the same bloodline, especially Kirishima, because he's handsome, and since that Yoshino had become very attractive, Kirishima will fall in love with her and she should stay in Tokyo with them and get settled. Later on, Yoshino managed to travel to Tokyo and met the Takosa family's boss, who's called Gaku Miyama. While greeting her, Yoshino was shocked by how handsome Miyama looked. She decided to ask Miyama about where Kirishima was, only to be surprised that he was standing right behind her. Yoshino was shocked and confused because at first she thought he was one of the family guards. Kirishima apologized and asked to give her a tour in the house. While speaking to her, Kirishima told her that they've already managed a room for her to feel cozy and just like home. Yoshino was very puzzled and tried to process the whole thing and elaborate to Kirishima that she wasn't planning to stay or whatever. Kirishima told her that he felt happy when he heard that she agreed on meeting him and it was his pleasure. The next day, Yoshino went to her new school with Kirishima, who told her about which classroom she was in. While walking with Kirishima, he explained to her that he doesn't go to school via cars like today and he usually comes by train. After he had left, heading to his classroom, Yoshino sighed in relief that he was a nice basic guy. Later in class, Yoshino was startled by a trio of girls who seemed to be her colleagues. The girls looked worried and surprised how Yoshino managed to come along with Kirishima today and asked her if she was related to him, but their families are close enough. Then the girls asked her if she was his girlfriend, but Yoshino explained that she's not and she only lives with him currently. The girls looked angry and jealous and tried to scare her, but Yoshino was only surprised. Later after class, Yoshino was annoyed that all the girls in the school kept staring at her endlessly, until she met Kirishima again, who waved at her. Yoshino heard the girls she was passing by gossiping about how handsome Kirishima looked. Yoshino talked to Kirishima about how he could be so famous in school, and he explained that everyone knows that he's one of the Yakuza. Yoshino asked Kirishima if he ever gets annoyed about the fact that everyone knows he's a Yakuza. Kirishima turned around to look at her, giving Yoshino chill down her spine from how cold his eyes looked, and told her that he doesn't know what she's talking about and that he doesn't really care. Kirishima's expressions turns back to a soft, cute-looking guy asking if she's okay, and then they kept walking outside of the school. Later that day at night, Yoshino in her room tried her best to sleep, but she couldn't. She got up to drink some water and noticed car lights sparking from the window. Yoshino went to take a look outside to find the Yakuza family coming back home, with Kirishima walking along with a towel in his hand full of blood which seemed to be wiped off his fists. Suddenly Kirishima throws his eyes at the window, but Yoshino manages to hide from him before he notices. The next day, Yoshino at school asked Kirishima to go out with her to buy some groceries. He agreed and planned on it at night happily. Walking upstairs, she hears girls gossiping about Kirishima and the way he acts around Yoshino, and how Yoshino used to work as a stripper in Kirishima's house just to pay back debts she owed to their family. Later that night, Yoshino went out with Kirishima on the date they talked about. Yoshino noticed that she didn't have cash on her, so she wanted to go and withdraw some from the nearby ATM. While running towards the store with her handbag, 3 boys stopped her and start flirting with her unwillingly. Yoshino wasn't used to boys talking to her back in her city, so it felt quite weird. One of the boys rested his arm on her shoulder and started pulling her towards a dark alley along with the other guys. Due to Yoshino being naive, she goes along feeling slightly uncomfortable. And that was when Kirishima appeared with a smile on his face, pulling one of the guys by their backpack, asking to let Yoshino go. The guy with the glasses threatened Kirishima, but to no good. Kirishima grabbed a glass bottle and broke it on the guy's head. Then with a creepy smile, he looks at the other guys. He ends up beating both of them up while Yoshino watch in fear. Kirishima talked in a passive-aggressive tone with the guy he was beating up and explained to him that Yoshino belongs to him, and if he tried to take revenge from him, he's going to kill him and anyone that relates to him. Kirishima took Yoshino's hand and walked with her with bloody fists, and tried to explain to her that back in her city no one dared to speak with her because they know she was from the Yakuza and that her grandpa was the boss, and she was never alone most of the time and she should be more careful from now on. Yoshino was scared that someone might call the cops because of how Kirishima's fists was bloody looking, so she tried to search for something that he could use to wipe his hands. Kirishima, to her surprise, takes off his hoodie to reveal a very beautiful looking tattoo, which got Yoshino shocked by how the tattoo looked. Kirishima told her that he will warn her next time. Yoshino wasn't glad about the whole idea of his reality. Trying to touch her, Yoshino slaps his hand, which made Kirishima lose his patience and talk to her in passive-aggressive way, explaining to her that he thought she was going to be a spoiled girl who will make his life interesting, but she came out to be very basic and boring and she won't even entertain him for at least a year, and told her that she's useless for him now. He then recommended for her to go back to her city Osaka, or at least be useful, and sell her body. She should go work in a brothel since she looks so sexy and pretty to make money. Later on, after a while at school, Yoshino was very disappointed at Kirishima and started thinking of going back to Osaka. She went to her locker to find her stuff was drained in mud and stool, which was made by some other bully girls in her school. At night, Yoshino was washing her stool-dirty shoes when her grandpa called her to check on her. She tried to act tough, but she couldn't hold it together. Her grandpa told her that she should not come back home for at least 1 year no matter what they did to her, and how she should hold it together and make Kirishima fall in love with her, and after the year passes she should dump him and go back to her Osaka to get revenge from him. Meanwhile, in another location, Kirishima was in another site on a mafia mission talking with the guard's leader about Yoshino must have gone back to Osaka because he hadn't seen her in a long time. The next day in Kirishima's classroom, Yoshino goes to Kirishima's desk. Yoshino seemed different this time. Cold-hearted and cruel, she spoke with Kirishima about how he recommended for her to sell her body, so slammed a bag full of money in front of his face, telling him that this was by actually selling one of her kidneys. Kirishima was shocked and confused about how she did it. She then told him that she isn't going anywhere and she's staying either he likes it or not, and how pathetically sadistic he is in her eyes. Yoshino turns her head to the girls who used to bully her and yells at them, telling them if she's going to hell she's definitely dragging them along with her and she's going to ruin their lives. Kirishima looked extremely amused of Yoshino, his heart skipping a few beats from her new personality. Kirishima grabbed her hand and started confessing his love to her because no one entertained him like this ever before, and it only means that he loves her. Yoshino was surprised and started acting silly, trying to pull her hand away from his, making funny notes about how creepy he is at this moment. Meanwhile, in Kirishima's uncle's car he was riding in, it seemed that he received a very annoying call from someone, and he mentioned that he will be telling his nephew Kirishima about it too. Yoshino later on was sneakily walking through the schoolyard trying to hide from Kirishima with a funny looking expression on her face as if she was hiding from a creep. Feeling slightly annoyed by the wound caused from the surgery she had just to prove to Kirishima she's a baddie. Trying to open her lunch bag, she suddenly finds Kirishima standing right behind her. It seemed like Kirishima had placed a GPS device in her bag to locate wherever she was. Yoshino was angrily set on flames, almost blowing up like a nuclear bomb. Kirishima bounced out the window and explained that they got to be at home together tonight because his father wanted to talk with them both. Later that day, Kirishima and Yoshino sat at the living room and the boss's second hand entered the room with another guy. The bald guy started speaking to Yoshino directly, telling her that the daughter of Akaza's company boss has disappeared. Yoshino was confused, so Kirishima explained to her that she was related originally to Takosa's family in the 3rd grade of the leveling to their family, and Kirishima's family was the 2nd in the grade tree. The bald guy then explained that she disappeared on a mysterious case, and it could possibly happen to Yoshino since she is in Takosa's grip currently, and she will have to either stay with the goofy Kirishima or the funny smiley guy the bald guy entered with for 24 hours. She seemed like she had no other option but to accept the goofy Kirishima. They walked out of the room and Yoshino seemed annoyed that she has to stay with Kirishima the whole time for a while. Kirishima then invited Yoshino to some class tier dinner. Yoshino tried one of the food presented to her while Kirishima stares at her like a Nyan cat who recently landed from a rainbow water slide. She then asked Kirishima about what could be the reason which makes him loves her so much. Yoshino was acting rather bold and rude since she really wanted to take revenge from him because of his previous insults. He explained that he just loves everything about her and how she speaks to him. Yoshino was confused cause he seemed calm and chill, yet his aura was exploding dangerous vibes. Kirishima then handed the information about the missing daughter to Yoshino. She was called Akaza and she was in a famous university and she didn't have any criminal records. She was also very spoiled and rich. Yoshino was wondering if they didn't really know where she could have gone, but then Kirishima told her that she could have escaped from her family or someone kidnapped her and sold her for some good money. Minutes later, Kirishima received a call which was about one of Akaza's company member was found dead. In the next day, you went to school and Kirishima decided to play his favorite role as a stalker for Yoshino. He started talking about the guy who died from Akaza's company, saying that he used to run several places like restaurants and probably some gambling rooms. He also mentioned that Akaza was a regular customer in that place. He also explained that unlike her grandpa Renji, who ruled all the blocks around Osaka City, Takosa only ruled 70% of the blocks in Tokyo, and they had to fight pretty hard to earn that percentage for over 100 years. Yoshino was uninterested in hearing such an information. Later that night, Yoshino rode with Inamori, the smiling sweet guy she either had to go with or Kirishima. Yoshino was surprised with how sweet Inamori was, and he's the first sweet person to ever go out with in Tokyo. He told her that Kirishima was disappointed he couldn't join them because of the sudden funeral. Yoshino mentioned to him that Kirishima told her he forced himself on Miyama's family since he was 12. Inamori told her he didn't know much about it and that's what he only has heard as well, but he also knew that Kirishima caused a violent accident in 5th grade. It was massive that his parents could not handle on their own, so the boss had to deal with it on his own. Yoshino was surprised when he said massive violence accident, but he then explained that it contained 20 other kids from his class and older with broken bones and ribs cubes basically barbecued them down. Inamori noticed how Yoshino got scared, so he nervously told her it was what the rumor said and she should forget about it. While waiting in a traffic jam, Yoshino glanced outside the window with a piercing stare to find the special tattoo she noticed on Akaza's picture to be present on one girl's arm, which appeared to be Akaza herself. Minutes after, Kirishima received a call from Yoshino telling him she saw Akaza, or probably someone like her, who got the same exact tattoo. Kirishima told her that it might be all made up by her dad just so they can disappear from sight. Yoshino then sent a photo of the place she entered to Kirishima, which seemed to be a nightclub. Kirishima then told her she meant to hit that place just because this land was out of their authority, which means that their men cannot roam over there freely. But Kirishima wasn't technically from the family, so it's possible for him to go there. Yoshino told him that block was under the authority of her family, so she could possibly call the office, and they would probably let her in just because she's the boss's granddaughter. Meanwhile, Kirishima's uncle Gakumiyama was watching him from a nearby spot, just to make sure he's safe. Later on, Kirishima went over with Yoshino to enter the nightclub, but Yoshino didn't seem to be very happy about the noise. She was also shocked to see other teenagers making out and having that kind of fun. Kirishima held Yoshino's hand tightly, just to make sure she's safe. After that, Akaza was sitting with her friend chatting about her disappearing from sight, and the reason was she cheated in gambling with that guy who owned the gambling rooms, who also died recently, against a very powerful mafia guy from Philippines. She managed to win about 500 million through it, which was also why she paid them for her protection. Suddenly, the door gets kicked open by Kirishima, the smiling Aniplot, greeting Akaza and introducing himself, while Yoshino pops her head shyly from behind his back. Akaza explained to her friends she knows nothing about him and she doesn't know who sent him, but he cannot kill her on his own. Kirishima smiles and sits next to one of the girls and tells her that the only person who would want to kill her is one of the Philippines mafia guys. He also told her that it should be better to tell her father to cancel their escape outside the country and just join them in their office, because there would be no going back if they did so. It could be shameful for the main owner Yakuza family. He also told her it was the right choice for her dad to escape from sights, but it's not very smart to keep doing so. Suddenly, the door opens once more with three guys standing behind Yoshino, hitting her on her head to fall on her face, forcing themselves inside, and it appeared they were planning to help Akaza with the assist of the party they were sitting with to escape with the money outside Japan. Kirishima disliked the idea and decided to change the scenario on his own. He told them that he doesn't tolerate traitors and no one was leaving that room alive. He started beating them up on his own. Yoshino laying on the floor bleeding from her nose, watching Kirishima do all the hard work. She got a spark of memory of what Inamori mentioned with the rumor doing with Kirishima barbecuing the guys at school. She decided to not chicken out and joined Kirishima beating the guys up. Kirishima was mesmerized by her powerful personality. Staring at her bleeding nose, he started punching the guy who hurt her over and over with merciless eyes. Even though he got a stuck knife to the back of his hip, he didn't really care about it. After finally finishing them off, Kirishima hugged Yoshino from behind, being happy that she's safe and sound. The next day they went to school and talked about how Akaza's dad was kicked out of the family, and Akaza had already traveled outside Japan along with her dad since they were not very safe. Kirishima was hurt badly but got bandaged out. He also told Yoshino he got scolded for messing around outside of their land's authority. He then placed a bag with 10 million, which was his cut. He was rewarded for finding Akaza and the Philippines mafia retrieving back the 500 millions by the Yakuza family, and decided to split the money in half with them as a settlement, so he decided to give away his cut Yoshino. However, she refused to take the money he thinks he owes her, and instead she needs a new dryer instead of the broken one, and he should come with her to buy it. Kirishima blushed and nodded happily to go along with her. After they left school, Kirishima noticed a fudging handsome guy with an angelic face riding a bike. They both stared to passive-aggressive stare at each other from afar. Kirishima ignored him and turned back to run after Yoshino, who didn't suspect anything at all. Sometime later, we find Kirishima in a room with a random girl. It seems like they were having an intense conversation when it all shifted to speaking about Yoshino. He was telling her that she was a girl he loved a lot, but the girl told him that she could be in long-distance relationship with a guy from Osaka, and if she really dislikes him, he should let her go. Later, Yoshino was sleeping in her room when she felt the presence of someone, and it appeared to be Kirishima bending over her body, but then she woke up in the morning and thought it was just a dream. But then in a silly-looking face, she tries to overthink it that it could actually be true. She tried to forget about it, but then she noticed that she was getting used to him, and that was against her main plan, so she decided to change the locks just in case. Then an idea sparked in her mind once she saw the knife. In the next night, she went to sleep but tried to be more cautious to his presence. And it did happen again. It was not a dream. Kirishima was in her room right next to her with a small patch of blood next to his eye, but Yoshino had already planned for everything. She brought a knife if he ever tried to assassinate assassinate her. She turned her body to the side, but it appeared that he was braiding her hair. Yoshino pulled out the knife and attempted to attack him, but he grabbed her arm and pinned her down to the bed. She told him that he scared her, so he picked her up like a child and apologized, but Yoshino smacked his head to scold him. With a smile on Kirishima's face, he told her he used aluminum paper to make a key for her room. Yoshino gave him a silly look and told him that he should stay because she was going to give him a lecture. Kirishima obediently sat down and started listening to her as she scolds him about entering her room without permission like a 6-year-old child, and he would nod like one. Yoshino then asked why would he even enter her room anyway, so he told her that whenever he looks at her normally she always looks mad, so he wanted to see how she looks like without being angry. She then asked him about the patch of blood. He told her that it was Tachibana hit him for being outside in the curfew, which always be at 1 a.m. She told him that he should follow the rules and stop messing around with other girls. Kirishima acted as if he doesn't know what she means, so she got up and grabbed his bow tie, pulling him closer to her face, and told him it was obvious because of the love bite on his neck. He then wondered why she wasn't angry that he was messing with another girl. She told him that he doesn't care, and if it was someone she loved she'd have killed him. He asked why doesn't she kill him then. She explained that she doesn't really love him. Kirishima told her that he really likes her and she gives him the motivation and the energy for coming back home early knowing she's at home, or have less hate for school since she will be there, so why does she hate him? Yoshino leaned into the closet to grab the first aid kit to treat his wound and told him that she doesn't hate him but she avoids him. She still likes him because he's chill and blunt. Kirishima lunged forward towards her, wrapping his arms around her body and resting on top of her with a 9-cat smile. He tells her that he's gonna work harder on making her love him so she would feel like killing him more. In the next day, Kirishima came to find Yoshino giving her a package which came from Osaka. He then started walking behind her in curiosity, wanting to know what she had received. She told him it was a picture album with her dad. He didn't like the Yakuza and always had fights with her grandpa. He also died before Yoshino was born due to an accident, so she doesn't really have much feelings for him. Kirishima then sat next to her with a smile and told her that Renji was coming Tokyo in a couple of days. Yoshino was surprised. Later we find a bunch of men, which seems like a meeting for the Yakuza bosses, and Renji was sitting among them along with Gaku Mayama, Kirishima's uncle. Meanwhile, Kirishima was sitting with Yoshino while Inamori served them drinks, speaking about the meeting which happens 4 times a year. Yoshino told him that she had no idea about it at all. The bald guy from the past told her, and that's how it always should be. Yoshino grabbed a picture from the family's photo and noticed a picture of Renji and Kirishima's uncle, which looked so much alike with Kirishima when he was young. Renji was in all the very few pictures Mayame had taken, which also proves they were very close. Later, Renji walked to another room and found Gaku sitting alone, so he joined him and tucked a bag of candies in his pocket. Then one of their friends who had also appeared in the few photos in their past, and so Renji also tucked a bag of candies in his pocket and they all left. Later we find Yoshino speaking on the phone with the hot guy we saw before riding the motorcycle with the angelic face, asking him about the rest of the album package which was sent to her. She asked him to search for it in one of her rooms. The next day Yoshino went to meet one who's also a member of her grandpa's mafia. She was going to meet her grandpa, but he was busy so he couldn't make it on time. The guy seemed annoyed about Yoshino hanging out and doing problems all around, since he was the guy who took care of her since she was a baby. He told her to bring him to Osaka in summertime because he wanted to make sure he's gonna take care of Yoshino, or not. Suddenly the pretty boy appeared. He was called Shuma. At another place, a guy was asking Inamori if he wanted to clean the basement, but he told him to not since Kirishima was using it recently. And then it appears that Kirishima was on a call with Yoshino while going down to the basement. Meanwhile, Yoshino was in the clothing shop with Shuma, looking angry because he did not bring clothes for sleep, and he explained that he only came to give her the album and leave, but she insisted on him staying over tonight. She told him to try the clothes on and they started chatting. He then popped out of the changing room topless and bluntly asking the store owner to buy the shirt. Yoshino was flabbergasted and asked him to wear shirt, damn it. Kirishima was in the basement checking a file where there was a photo of Shuma with lots of information about him. Later that night we see Yoshino sitting with Shuma while he hungrily eat like a pug dog. Yoshino was annoyed about him showing his tattoo, so she reached to cover his skin. He asked about Kirishima and how he's like, but Yoshino didn't know where to start. Shuma then asked her if he was real about getting married to her. She said yes, but she didn't know how to feel about it, but she would never get married to that dummy. She's just trying to grab his attention and then dump him and go back to Osaka. After that they left the restaurant. Later they went back to his room. Yoshino had eaten so much she just laid on the bed wanting to sleep. She then told him that meeting him made her feel bored from this whole story, wanting to kill Kirishima before he kills her, and that Kirishima is full of surprises and she doesn't even know if that's his real face and personality or if he's just pretending. Shuma offered to kill him since she thinks he's very dangerous. He also told her he's not an angel and kill him very easily. Yoshino got a little worried and told him that it's not very bad so he should relax. Shuma told her that she should give him the word if she ever felt like it, and then he left the room to smoke a cigarette. While outside to smoke, Kirishima walked over towards him with a smile, telling him it's not right to smoke in the street. Kirishima looked at Shuma with a smile, informing him that this wasn't the first time they meet and he's here to pick up Yoshino. Shuma, with no reactions, looks at Kirishima and asks them if he was stalking them and if he was trying to make a problem. Kirishima denied and told him that he'd never do that since they're going to be close since he's marrying Yoshino. He also informed him that Yoshino might be actually in here to prevent a war from happening with southern Yakuza, and Renji didn't really want Kirishima and Yoshino to get married more than he was just using Kirishima for his own benefits. But Kirishima was also using Renji in his own way. Shuma got confused but without any face expressions and asked what are his benefits from all of this. Kirishima explained that as long as he does what Renji says, Yoshino is going to stay with him. Yoshino rushed in the conversation between them both, finding out that he used an app to find where her original phone was located. Yoshino got upset and turned around to leave, but Shuma grabbed her arm, telling her that she should go back to Osaka along with him and he will explain to Renji that Kirishima was mentally unstable. Kirishima grabbed her other arm with a smile on his face, telling him that he knows he's the best to her for marriage. Kirishima and Shuma started fighting in passive-aggressive way, trying to prove their point while she stands in between. Yoshino got upset of his language and started defending Shuma, calling Kirishima an idiotic baka. Kirishima politely smiles and apologizes for it. Yoshino calms down and looks at Shuma and tells him it's going to be fine and he should probably go back to Osaka on his own. Next day, Yoshino rushed through the train station to catch Shuma before he leaves to farewell him. Shuma started looking around for Kirishima, but Yoshino told him he wasn't here and she left him at home. She also told him that it's pretty obvious how Shuma hates him. Shuma told her that he doesn't understand her sometimes. She's about to risk her whole life just for her dignity. Shuma's train had arrived and he was ready to leave. Yoshino stood up intensely and told him that if she doesn't have dignity, she's like a dead person to herself. Shuma looked at her with shock in his eyes and then told her if he was in her place he'd not have risked his life for something like this. Yoshino asked him then what could it be. Shuma pointed straight towards her. Yoshino was flabbergasted, thinking he was talking about her, but he broke the silence and told her he was pointing to a bug on her hair. Yoshino in shock, flailing her arms around like noodles, but it appeared to be a breadcrumb. He then told her she can do whatever she wants, but she should take care of herself and overdo stuff. Shuma entered the train and turned around to look deep in her eyes, giving her a deep hug. Yoshino cutely rubs his back and asks him to be safe. In the matter of fact, Kirishima was sitting right behind them watching silently. Later on, Yoshino was on the train with Kirishima going to school. The train was very crowded. They were standing face to face together. The crowd pushed them against each other. Kirishima unintentionally pushed his chest against her face. Yoshino smelled his perfume and felt his warmness. She looked up at Kirishima and asked why his face was looking silly. He told her that he's trying to stay sharp for any attacks that might harm her. Yoshino spoke with him about how she never rode a crowded train and how she was spoiled back in her place having a ride of her own all the time. And she always disliked that someone sees her taking a private ride. Until middle school, she would walk with Shuma most of the time. Suddenly, she felt Kirishima's aura changing and coldness down her spine. She asked about what's wrong with him, but he explained that everything is alright with a smile. Later at school, she started to overthink the feelings she felt in the train, which almost felt like when he told her he doesn't really care what people think about him as a part of the Yakuza. Later that night, Yoshino was in her room trying on some of her fancy clothes. Going to open the door, she finds Kirishima standing at the door smiling at her, wondering why she's all upset with the same smile on his face. He handed over a package to her which came from Osaka. He noticed all the clothes laying on the floor, so he asked if she was leaving. She denied, but she felt the same cold stare he held towards her like today morning in the train, but even worse. She couldn't turn back to look at him from the intense feeling. She then got up asking if he was trying to kill her. He smiled and told her that he doesn't have any problem with her to kill her. She asked if it was Shuma who gets him all worked up and angry. She then asked him what he'd say if she told him they were going out later on together to hang out. Kirishima smiled and told her that he doesn't really have a problem with that, but he at least has to put a condition. She could do whatever she pleases with anyone, whoever he is, but as long as he's watching it, like making love or whatever. She could also tie him up if she wants, but as long as he kills the other person with her, then it should be all balanced. She then asked him curiously if he'd ever kill Shuma for that. He then asked if she was actually going on a date with Shuma. She told him that he's just family to her and she'd never do such an act. He told her that everything is fine, but both of them together they seemed more than family, and they're not blood related. She then told him that she's not related blood with anyone except her grandpa, but he seemed very jealous of Shuma. Kirishima did not deny it to her, but he told her with cold death stare. He didn't think of it this way, but maybe she's right, he's actually losing his mind from jealousy. Yoshino told him to calm down, he's acting quite mad. He knelt in front of her and smiled looking at her. He told her he will try to be a normal guy and be less mad only if she tells him what he has to do, since he doesn't know how to do it. She looked at him with an intense stare, asking if he'd flip his life upside down just for a girl. He told her that he really got no idea, but it is what it is. She sighed and decided to reveal all of her cards, telling him that since he's going clean with her, she will admit that her plan was to dump him after a year and go back to her mother city Osaka, but if she fell in love with him she will stay in Tokyo. She knows that if he started acting like a proper gentleman, but the poop he's doing is not going to work. He asks what should he do to make it work. Yoshino sarcastically looks at him and tells him that he's not so dumb to ask her such a question coming from a spoiled boy. He'd better be the dumbest, craziest man in the whole world instead. She tried to say that just to piss him off. Kirishima's eyes sparked while looking at her and told her he was hoping to get bored of her eventually, but he just loves her even more now and he can't even hide it anymore. She called him crazy and turned around to go and change, but he then asks to help her make dinner while she changes, but she shouts at him in a silly tone to go back to his room. Later on, we find Yoshino checking her temperature. She looks sick as she always does every summer. She sent a message to Kirishima that she's going to call in sick from school, and he should just go alone today. A few minutes later, Kirishima walks by and he seemed to be running and all sweaty. He hands her some sports drinks since she's sick. It seemed like he ran a whole mile in just 3 minutes to check in on her. He washed his head and told her he will go to bring food and drinks. Yoshino mentioned that he will get late to school, but he explained that he ain't leaving her and will stay with her to make sure she's fine. Yoshino blushed and refused, but he then offered to take her to the hospital. Yoshino disliked the idea even though she sold her kidney, but she had to deal with it using hating him as a motivation. She then pushed Kirishima, telling him she's going to be fine, but he then told her he will be texting her through phone messages just to make sure she's fine. Later at school, Kirishima started texting Yoshino every hour, but until she stopped responding, Kirishima felt worried and decided to leave school. He then got a message about some Yakuza work. Some guy from the Yakuza made love with one of the family boss's daughter and escaped with her. He called the bald-looking guy, telling him to send someone over to investigate, and he should also come quick because Yoshino is sick and he must go to check on her. Later on, Kirishima tried to ring the door's bell, but Yoshino was very sick. She didn't get up to answer. Kirishima locked the door and walked inside, checking Yoshino's fever. Her temperature was extremely high. He had to call Inamori to pick them up to go to the hospital. He rolled Yoshino, who seemed to be extremely sick, in blanket and picked her up to the car. He asked Inamori to lower the air conditioner's temperature. He felt that Yoshino was feeling nauseous while rubbing her hair, so he picked her up in his lap and hugged her tightly. Yoshino loved his smell and started wondering of the perfume's name. The next day he called Renji to tell him about Yoshino's state. Renji asked him to take care of her for the rest of the year as much as possible since she's clumsy and reckless. He answered Renji that he's going to take care of her, and that was their agreement. Meanwhile, Shuma heard the call while standing close to Renji's call, and he seemed quite emotionless yet worried. The next day, Yoshino was sleeping in her sleeping bag as usual and suddenly woke up, checking her phone to find it was 12 p.m. already. She peeled the cooling patch off her head and suddenly heard Kirishima behind her. He stayed all night to take care of Yoshino after taking her to the hospital. Yoshino started remembering everything in the past night and bent over to thank him for all what he did to her. Kirishima handed her the thermometer to check her temperature while smiling at her. He told her he changed her sleeping place and position to have the best angle, so if anyone tried to harm her he'd be ready to defend. Yoshino, looking like a silly ragdoll, asking who could possibly enter. Kirishima explained that he got tons of enemy, and if someone wanted to hurt him he would kill whoever he loves most, and he got countless number of enemies. He also refused to sleep because he doesn't know how to sleep in front of other people. He then got up and decided to leave, but then Yoshino stopped him and asked him to stay. She was planning to take a shower and then go get some food, and he should probably take a shower as well. Kirishima finally accepted and they both took a shower separately. Then they made breakfast and they both started eating. Yoshino offered him some proteins because he's still growing up, as she said. Later at school they were both sitting together. Yoshino was feeling down because of how she hadn't gotten to study algebra, which was also her first exam in almost 2 days. Kirishima offered to help her study, but she told him to focus on his own study. Kirishima told her that he had managed everything and he's basically ready for it. Yoshino slammed her head onto the algebra's book and groaned in misery. She wondered how was she going to reach university, especially that she doesn't know anything about algebra's basics. Yoshino then mentioned after the last day of exams she's going to Yokohama because her cousin was coming from Kyoto. Later on we see Kirishima and Yoshino in Yokohama. They were walking through the subway station and chatting about Yoshino's cousin, who's Yoshino's dad and her mom were not related in blood. Yoshino got angry that Kirishima knew all about this on his own, but then she explained that this aunt of hers was the daughter for one of her grandpa's secret lovers who suddenly appeared in their lives. Yoshino moved down the electric stairs as they talk about her cousin studying outside country. Yoshino then told him she sounds exactly like his favorite kind of girl. While they walk we see Yoshino's cousin standing and waving at Yoshino. They greeted each other and also Kirishima joined them throughout the conversation and introduced himself. Yoshino, with a silly look on her face, started introducing how she should be her favorite type of girl since she has black hair and pale skin along with black eyes. Kirishima chuckled and complimented her beauty. Her cousin covered her mouth and smiled with red cheeks while looking at Kirishima, calling him Yoshino's boyfriend. Yoshino got annoyed from her saying that and yelled at her that he's not her boyfriend. Her cousin then asked about her exams and studies. Kirishima explained to her that they both studied all night together, but Yoshino was annoyed about algebra. The girl's name was Tsubaki. Then Tsubaki explains that her grandma and her mom were from Kyoto. Yoshino told Tsubaki she thought she would never see her outside of Kyoto Kyoto since she's the typical type of girls who were born there. They only love Kyoto and no other city. Tsubaki then told Yoshino that since they're here they should probably check out the shops, but Yoshino said that she's not interested in anything. Tsubaki told her that she would like to buy a bag for school or something like that. Suddenly Tsubaki stops to check out a new sandals. Once she stopped to call for Yoshino to ask if she likes them. Kirishima also stopped and had checked the sandals out and asked if she likes them out of coincidence. Tsubaki was shocked and remained silent while staring at both of them while they chat about how it will look on her and raise her in height. Later they went to the restaurant and ate food, but Yoshino overdid it and bent over the counter regretting it. After they ordered drinks, Tsubaki said that she's as adorable as Renji, and if she got a little more chubby she'll look even cuter. Tsubaki had also found Renji perfect for some reason and adored his personality. Kirishima happily looked at Tsunaka and told her that he finds Yoshino is way better in his opinion. Tsubaki then talks with Yoshino advising her to be careful from sweet talkers because they're big cheaters. And then she asked Kirishima what have they done so far? Have they ever made love in bed? Yoshino was shocked, even her eyes popped some veins. Kirishima told her that if he tried to make love with her he will get killed twice by her and her family and he's just waiting for the right time. Tsubaki said that she promised to make love with the first lover for Yoshino. Yoshino was just in pure cringe to what they're actually doing. Yoshino wanted to have some ice cream but she was afraid to not finish it, so Kirishima offered her to eat after her if she could not finish it. Then Yoshino got up to wash her hands. Tsubaki and Kirishima started chatting together about Yoshino and how Kirishima is sweet and predictable with his actions besides being caring. He explained with a smile that she looks at him more like trash than anything and that he's unpredictable. Tsubaki smiled and agreed to what she said about him and said she'd have thought the same if she wasn't there. But treating them differently does show the whole picture to them. Kirishima was confused, so he asked what she means. Tsubaki replied that he doesn't like talking with her. He doesn't even talk with her at all and he only answers with the specific amount only, which makes any girl attracted to what he says no matter how useless what he says. He also predicts what Yoshino wants and doing it before anyone else does. And whenever Yoshino speaks he just gives her all the attention because he wants to be on her good side. But it seems like he hadn't gotten it yet. Kirishima stopped her and was about to ask her an important question, but Yoshino suddenly came back holding a big bowl of ice cream and mangoes, and they started eating. Later, the night had fallen and Yoshino got a call from Inamori telling her that she forgot to submit her exam papers of algebra, and the teacher is waiting for her to come and submit it. Kirishima called a taxi for her and told her that he's going to take Tsubaki back to her hotel. After Yoshino's cab had left, Kirishima took Tsubaka on a date. They decided to ride the Ferris wheel and started chatting about her own father, who's also a doctor in a big hospital. He was known for illegal acts and organ transplantation. With a smile on her face she asks what if so. He confronted her that he would want to sell his kidney just how Yoshino did with hers, but where's Yoshino's kidney? Where had it gone? Kirishima had searched everywhere to nothing. He did not find it, and also when she was sick he noticed the wound on her waist and it looked smaller than he expected it to be, so it got to be that she gave her the money but did not do any surgeries to her. He was going to know eventually, either by doing an MRI to her or by asking Tsubaka. Tsubaka laughed and asked what makes him obsessed with Yoshino. He answered that one time in the past when he was young he bought an expensive ticket going to Osaka since he was going for a funeral which related to Yoshino's family, knowing that the granddaughter with the red hair will be present, and she doesn't know about it, yet the only reason he's obsessed with her is because he loves her so much. Tsubaka told him that she also bought something for expensive money and it was 1.5 liters of blood for 4 million yen. Kirishima looked back at her in shock. She told him that she withdrew the blood from Yoshino without touching any of her kidneys for that money. She did not scam her since she's telling Kirishima right now, but she hopes that he doesn't tell her. Kirishima told her that it could have been fatal, but Tsubaka mentioned that she tried making her change her mind. But Yoshino would rather die than to let Kirishima make fun of her. After that they left the wheel and Kirishima complimented that she was beautiful tonight, but probably because her and Yoshino are family. Tsubaka told him that she can leave now feeling good that Yoshino is fine, but she'd make him pay for whatever he does to her if he actually came out to be some trash like Yoshino says. Kirishima smiles at her and nods, telling her not to be worried. The next day, Yoshino was spraying the plants while Kirishima helps her through the whole process. Kirishima gets a message from Tsubaka and Yoshino looked confused. Why would they exchange their numbers? Kirishima told her it's because they might have a walk someday again. Think she was going to send him her apartment location. She sent him a picture of Yoshino wearing a cute bikini and told him that was the picture she promised him of Yoshino. Yoshino was in shock, flailing her arms around, telling him to delete the pic, thinking he will blackmail her for by posting it on the internet. Kirishima replies that he'd never do that because it's a waste for rich resources. Kirishima had also sent a pic of Renji when he was young to Tsubaka and she was extremely mesmerized. Yoshino was on a call with Tsubaki. She told her about Kirishima saying that he gone to some related funeral to Yoshino when he was 12 searching for her and he did not find her. Yoshino was confused, why would he do that? Tsubaki mentioned that he might have actually been loving her since then. Yoshino told her that by his actions and how he treated her like a spoiled prostitute doesn't seem like it. Yoshino then told her that she doesn't know if she started loving her he will keep acting the same or might he change and lose interest in her, so she doesn't want to risk it. Tsubaki asked her if she ever talked about any of his old ex-girlfriends, but she told her that she never talked about such and always talks about food or school. Tsubaki told her to give him a second chance to see if he actually loves her or not and stop acting like old married couples who had already retired. Later the next day, Yoshino finished her classes and started thinking in her mind if Kirishima loves her or he's just mad obsessed about her. She glances up and finds two girls talking with Kirishima. Once they noticed her coming, they got scared and apologized, then left even though they were older than her. They started walking while Yoshino asks what they were talking about, and he told her they were telling him to join them in helping the school visitors since he was the leader of the disciplinary committee. Yoshino was shocked with all what he does of crimes. He told her that he might be outlaw, but that doesn't mean he's not following the school rules. Yoshino then tells him she thought they were trying to ask him out on a date, but he replied to her that since he rejected many girls asking him out, the rest would think they will have the same fate, so they stopped asking, and all he needs in life is only Yoshino, and that she's his only friend. Yoshino was shocked due to the fact such a cool guy like him is acting like a fat loser. He then told her that girls just talk with him even if he doesn't talk back, but she's the only one he have conversations with. Yoshino asked if he's actually wanting to marry the first friend he meets, and he agreed to her. Yoshino was disappointed that all what she did was useless, and he doesn't even know what loving emotions mean. After that we see a party with people everywhere drinking wine and champagne. People were gossiping about a pretty girl called Shiota who was an actor as a child in the past, and then she stopped acting because of her parents traveling to America. She also won a beauty contest last year. Her friends joined her and started chatting along with her. She seemed like a shy, famous, innocent girl, but from inside she was not. She was doing extra acting in real life to make people like her more than anyone else. After that, they talked about Kirishima, who was standing at the party. They said they heard some rumors going around that he was dating a girl who ended up making porn movies and then disappeared, and he was the last one to be seen with her. Suddenly Kirishima decides to join them, and they started greeting him and introducing each other to him, also bringing Shiota along the convo. Kirishima had a very unusual hairstyle that made him look like Sonic the Fast Hedgehog. Shiota seemed very shocked while staring at him. Shiota's friends mentioned she won a beauty contest at school last year, but he said he knows, which made Shiota feel in shock. They also talked about she's gonna join a big event in Osaka soon. Sonic seemed flabbergasted to the info and said he might join. Later Shiota went to the bathroom and stood in front of the mirror and started remembering events that happened in the past. She was actually one of Kirishima's past girlfriends, and they were very close. They would sleep together every day and make love, but it all changed later after they separated. She got out of the bathroom and noticed that Kirishima was standing at the corridor waiting for her. They smiled at each other. Shiota told him that she's sorry about all the trouble she made to him in the past. Kirishima told her that he had to pretend he doesn't know her in front of her friends so he doesn't make a huge fuss. They started chatting for a bit, and he gave her a card that doesn't belong to him but wrote on it his number so she could call him later. Later on, Kirishima went back home to the basement he always hang out at. Yoshino felt that someone had returned, so she called him and he calmed her down, telling her it was him. She asked him about the festival which was going to happen in Osaka and she could go on her own, but he told her that he's excited to go along with her and can't even wait, but they got to wait for July. Meanwhile, he was actually planning to go since Shiota had posted on Twitter that she will be joining in a big festival starting from 30th of June. At that date, Yoshino and Kirishima went back to Osaka for the festival. She entwined her arm with Kirishima and started giving him a lesson not to be away from her vision and to not talk with strangers and be sane with whoever talks to him. They started walking, talking about food they could eat and all the restaurant they could go to. They stopped a taxi and started their journey through the city. Yoshino felt like she's at home finally. Kirishima started flirting with her about her smile. He told her that she does look cute when she's angry but very beautiful when she's smiling. Yoshino starts getting flustered and hit his shoulder before stopping the taxi to find Shuma sitting at a nearby shack drinking some beverage carelessly. Yoshino was annoyed. He was sitting under the burning sun, and why did he leave his studies? Shuma told her he actually came over there to pick her up since this is the first place she'd go to once she comes back. Kirishima yelled and told her that they're holding the taxi for no reason. Shuma started looking at Kirishima intensely as they both seemed like they want to kill each other. Pulling one cigarette out of his box, the saleswoman hits Shuma on his back with the menu, telling him not to throw his cigarette's ashes all over the floor even though she was smoking as well. Yoshino greets her and she also greeted her back. It seems they knew each other a lot. All the old cougars at the shack started flirting with Kirishima for being very handsome. Kirishima uses his sweet tongue to speak with them about how he would love to be their sugar babe. They all laugh and start giving him small amount of money in coins while the saleswoman hit Shuma on his back, telling him that he's also handsome and should learn from Kirishima how to speak to older women. Yoshino was annoyed that he just got paid for being handsome. Shuma ignored it and continued smoking his cigarette. Shiota seemed to be sitting along with one of her besties having a drink. They started chatting, and then she asked her about one of her ex-boyfriends. She told her he will be joining the work in Kansai. She started telling Shiota that he's the son of one famous news reporter. Shiota told her that she didn't know about it, but in her own mind she said that she knew all about it, and that's exactly why she dated him first place. They started chatting about her getting a new boyfriend. Her mind quickly shifted to thinking of Kirishima right away. After that, Yoshino had came back home with Shuma and Kirishima, they greeted the guards who stood inside the house. They seemed to know about Kirishima all well, but they were kind of in fear just thinking about Kirishima staying along with them in the house. But Renji gave permission. Yoshino handed Shuma some groceries to put in the fridge, and he gave Kirishima a side eye and left. Yoshino and Kirishima went upstairs to her room and started chatting about normal stuff. Kirishima seemed amused by Yoshino's room and started looking around. Kirishima noticed some hand dolls Yoshino had made. He grabbed one and asked Yoshino if he could keep one of them. He held it tightly. Yoshino agreed while confused why was he acting so. Shuma called for Yoshino downstairs, so she left the room, and that was when Kirishima got a message from Kyoto telling him she was happy they met again after all this time. Later at night, Yoshino and Shuma and Kirishima had went to eat at a restaurant. Both boys were not feeling okay walking together. They tried to avoid speaking to each other while Yoshino tries to involve them into conversations. Kirishima tells Yoshino he has to go now and he also will stay in a hotel that he had already reserved. Yoshino was confused, telling him that he could stay at their home, but he refused and told her he had already reserved at the hotel and all of his stuff is there. He asks Shuma to take care of Yoshino and leaves. Yoshino and Shuma go to the supermarket. Shuma started telling Yoshino that she should talk more with Kirishima because she's letting him free and no one will know his intentions. Yoshino told him that everything is fine and she got everything under control. She then thinks to herself about how Tsubaki told her to do the same thing. Meanwhile, we see Kirishima in a bed with Shiota, his ex-girlfriend. It seems that they have had some intense lovemaking. Shiota asked him what was the reason for him to come to Osaka. He told her that he came to see her. He then asked why would she text him. Did something happen to her? She told him everything is fine, but she just wanted him there. He told her that he will be the next day in Osaka. Shiota asked if he was going to be with his girlfriend. He then replied that he doesn't have a girlfriend, but he really got someone he loves. He gets up to take a shower when his phone receives a notification. Shiota notices that he got Yoshino's bikini picture as his background picture and sighs. We see later that Kirishima was sitting with Yoshino riding the train. Yoshino had fixed and renewed the little handmade doll that Kirishima was into and attached them to Kirishima's keys. Later we see Shiota walking along two of her colleagues after school. They two dudes were amused that they were walking with such a beauty. It seems that they were helping her with some homework she can't fix. Then they told her that people saw her coming back home late in the morning. Shiota got shocked, but once they mentioned it must have been work, she got relieved. They also mentioned that they've seen her on a date with a guy, but she denied it. Finally getting on the bus for her next station. While riding the bus, she noticed from outside the window Kirishima walking along with Yoshino. She stopped the bus and left to walk behind Yoshino, but couple of students stopped Shiota to take a picture with her. Suddenly Yoshino was trying to get some help with the route, so she asks Shiota, thinking that she was from the university she was walking and not knowing that she was following her. They walked together, but Kirishima was not there. Shiota looked envious of Yoshino cause she's used to people looking at her beauty, but Yoshino didn't really care about her at all. While walking together and chatting, Shiota asked Yoshino if she knew her from somewhere. Yoshino told her that she's living currently in Tokyo, but she's mainly from Osaka. Shiota is acting naive to make Yoshino confess everything to her. She told her that she probably saw her with Kirishima in Tokyo. They started talking about Kirishima. Meanwhile, Shiota was speaking in her mind devilishly about how stupid Yoshino. Shiota mentioned that she thinks Kirishima's parents are still alive. She also told her that Kirishima was very famous back then, so Yoshino suddenly got the idea of the fight he had at school. She asked if she can tell her more about it. Shiota explained that she doesn't know much about it, but she knew that Kirishima was used to train in a dojo close to the school, and at the accident day he had hurt his classmates with severe wounds. Yoshino's remembered the day he was punching that guy mercilessly, and imagined how it could have gone. They've arrived at the spot Yoshino wants to head to, and then Shiota apologized and told her that she got to leave now. Yoshino asked her a favor, which was taking her number just in case she needs to talk to her. Later at Yoshino's room, she laying on the bed and Shuma was sitting close to her bed on the floor. She asked him about someone called Shiota, but he never heard of her. It seemed like she wanted to leave and go somewhere, and since Shuma wasn't studying, she invited him over and he agreed to go to a place called Kuba. Later that day, Shiota was standing in place checking her phone. She saw an ex-guy of hers walking to her and leaned against the wall in front of her. His name was Azu. There was rumors going around in the city that Azu used to bring men and make them meet with girls to have illegal relationships. He talked about it with her, telling her that she obviously knows that he would never do that, but in fact he used to bring famous girls to meet up with older rich men, and he'd make sure everyone is satisfied for a small price. Yoshino didn't understand why was he bothering her, and they're not even together anymore. She also asked him to leave her alone, but then Azu shocked her. He told her that he knew she slept with Kirishima, and sleeping with a Yakuza can destroy her entire career in one flick. He also told her that he can bring up lies about her smoking marijuana with students in America and making love, and everyone would believe since the first rumor was right. Shiota asked him what would he want to stop bullying her. He told her to bring Kirishima to a specific place without telling him, and also bringing Yoshino along with him because she's the granddaughter of the Yakuza's boss in Osaka, and her name was Yoshino. Shiota was shocked about this information she had. Azu looked at her with a smirk and told her that she shouldn't feel like she's betraying Kirishima since he was the one who betrayed her by telling everyone that they slept together. Shiota stood there shaking and shocked. She couldn't move, speak, frozen. Later on, we see Kirishima looking like Sonic again and Yoshino riding a boat. It seems that they were taking a journey on that ship. They decided to visit the aquarium. Kirishima called it a date, but Yoshio rolled her eyes and looked silly at him and told him yes, they could call it a date. While walking through the place, Kirishima recommends holding hands since they were dating now, but Yoshio refuses, but somehow feels upset she had to let Kirishima's offer down. They kept walking through the aquarium. Yoshino wanted to tell Kirishima about her birthday, but it looked like Kirishima had already known about it. Yoshino looked at him with a silly face and told him that this was extremely fast and creepy. Yoshino started telling Kirishima about her favorite food too. She also told him that she likes to drive. Yoshino took a picture of the fishes and they kept walking. Kirishima then tells her about his birthday, which is in June, to tease her, but then tells her that it's actually in November. Meanwhile, we see Azu in some sort of charity work as he starts hearing bad gossip about Shiota from her colleagues since she hadn't arrived today. He smiled and walked away. Yoshino at the aquarium taking pics of everything. She said her grandpa told her to say so. While hovering with the camera, she sees Kirishima standing in front of the camera, so she felt like she should take a picture of him without him noticing. Kirishima suddenly notices her and smiles to the camera. Yoshino feels weird, asking herself if he got eyes in the back of his head or what. Yoshino asked him about his first girlfriend. Kirishima told her that he used to date girls for money since the money he got paid wasn't enough to fill his tummy. Yoshino then commented on it as he was renting boyfriend for whoever needs one, but he also mentioned that he never dated a girl from the same class ever. Kirishima was happy that they were talking about their favorite food and their hobbies. It almost felt like they're on preparing for the real marriage. Yoshino told him that it was normal for her to ask him about all of these questions because she should not be so ignorant about it. However, she doesn't really think of getting married to him, but they should spend the rest of the 8 months and see how it goes, and maybe it will work out. Suddenly, in the heat of the moment, Kirishima grabs Yoshino's both hands and pulls her close to his face and whispers over her lips. While Yoshino was in shock, staring deep into his eyes, before he could continue, his phone rings. He apologized to Yoshino and asked her to wait for a few seconds. Then he walked away to pick up the call. Later at home, Yoshino was on a call with Shuma telling him about how Kirishima said that he got sudden work that has to be finished and had to leave early. Shuma told her that she should just let him die and not care about him, but she insisted on checking out what he was planning to do. Later, we see Kirishima in a flat with Shiota. He grabbed his hand and kissed it, telling her that she was more important than any other work. She asked if she was more important than Yoshino. Kirishima told her that he knew about it and it's obvious that it's going to happen. In fact, he was the one to send a message to himself in the shower to make her take a look at the background pic of Yoshino. She then felt betrayed and told him that the rumors about him was probably right then. She then told him about the girl who started filming porn before disappearing and was last seen by Kirishima. He told her that he told Azu about Shiota going out with Kirishima but not directly, and about the missing girl. Azu was the one who got her missing instead. He then told her that girl was extremely depressed and told Kirishima she will be going to her parents' house for the next 3 months, but after a month she told him she was very excited about meeting another job, and then she went to work for porn. Then she disappeared and Azu was the cause. He then told her that this same thing happened with the 3 girls he had met in the past few months and Shiota was number 4. She then told him that Azu wants Kirishima to go to a specific place and then he will delete the evidence which proves she and Kirishima were together. Kirishima told her Azu will be using her for the rest of her life and she can't do anything about it, and he also will not help because as much as he was using her for her relatives, she was also using him for the powerful state and the Yakuza's protection, so it's a win-win. He put on his shirt and told her to get dressed so they can go to the place Azu told her about. Shiota asked him, what about Yoshino, because the deal was to bring her over too. She's already on her way there. Kirishima called her a liar because he had mimic of her phone. Shiota sworn that she had already sent to her from a tablet a message on her iPad. Kirishima opened her laptop and checked for Yoshino's place and indeed found her nearby. He then received a call from Yoshino. He asked her what she was doing over there. She told him to relax and she knows she's with Shiota right now. She told him that Azu wasn't at the place she asked her to go to. Kirishima was confused. She replied to him saying, because Azu Kento is sitting right in front of me now. Azu was in a cafe sitting with the guys Kirishima had beat up in the past for trying to make Akaza leave the country with the money she stole from the Philippines mafia. Azu seems like he was the one who brought them. They talked to Azu about where could Kirishima be and if he's coming or not. He told them he sent the location to Shiota in a hangar with a paid gang to catch Kirishima, so they will have to wait because the sensors did not spot anyone. Yoshino was standing on the roof watching them with a smirk. The 2 guys looked angry and furious cause of Azu's attitude. The guy sitting next to Azu informs him that there's a guy called Azami had arrived. He got up and left. Yoshino called Kirishima and told him about the 2 guys he had beat up in the past were hanging out with Akaza who tried to escape. Yoshino had already slammed her hair dryer on one of these guys' head. Kirishima asked Yoshino about how she managed to go over there. Yoshino told him she had been working on that for a while since she had been watching Azu's apartment in Ko. Kirishima didn't want for Yoshino to stay there, so he asked her to leave and he will take care of everything. He types a paper telling Shiota to get dressed because they will leave. Suddenly Shiota yells to Kirishima telling him to wait. Yoshino was shocked she heard a female's voice in the background while she was trying to tell him there was a red wavy hair looking guy is sitting there there too. Shouta arrives at the spot in Kobe and checks his phone after receiving the text message from Yoshino. He tried his best to call her over and over, but she hasn't replied. Shuma got a mysterious call from someone. He grunted and picked it up. It was Kirishima speaking to him on the other line as they were walking in a fast tone. Kirishima spoke to Shuma and Shuma was not really happy about it. Kirishima told him that he didn't want up using his phone number, but he had to. He told Shuma about where Yoshino is located and told him to go pick her up. Shuma was very mad at the fact Yoshino might get hurt. Kirishima told him he had told Yoshino to hide somewhere. Shuma told Kirishima that he will get in huge trouble if something happened to Yoshino. Kirishima sarcastically say that Shuma is better off dead than being alive later on, but first he'd better go and pick Yoshino up. After that, Azu got a call from someone who was watching Kirishima's room telling Azu that Kirishima left the room along with Shioda and got on a taxi. Azu told them to keep following him and never let that taxi get away. After that, Azu went to meet the guy with the red hair. He saw him standing with a silent, mysterious guy who was wearing a corona mask. Azu looked at him annoyed and upset and told him that they should just finish this now and go back to Tokyo. And they shouldn't help those scums with their rivalry, especially since they have paid a lot of money just to get this job done. Azu was upset. The guy then shifted his eyes without saying a word, making Azu tremble in his boots and poop his pants, so he started apologizing and told him that he will just get the job done since that's what he wants. The guy turns around and walks away without saying any word. He really thinks he's a charismatic. Azu took his spot and watched him leave from above, and that was when Yoshino suddenly emerged and met with Azu. She greeted him and they went to the bar to drink something. Yoshino told him that her name is Suzuki, 4th university year. Azu had already checked for someone who's called that on Instagram and it appeared to be true, but their profile wasn't public. He started looking at Yoshino's features and moved his eyes all around, saying to his mind that he didn't really like her face. They called for the waiter and Azu called for a drink. He offered some for Yoshino, convincing her to drink alcohol too. Meanwhile, Kirishima walking with Shioda, she yelled at him to let her go. He told her that he should have banned her account from Yoshino's phone. Shioda yelled at him, telling him that she should go now since she told him about Azu's original place, but he told her he will send her somewhere to stay safe until Shuma gets to her and take the Yoshino's mimic phone and reach for Yoshino. Later on, Shuma went to the specific room Shioda was at and slammed the door open, looking around to see Shioda all alone. Shioda gave him the phone that Kirishima told her about, but Shuma insisted to take her along with him. Suddenly, thugs appeared who were searching for Kirishima. They were asking Shuma who he was and where did Kirishima go. The thug ordered one of his fellows to watch the entrance, and then he mentioned Yoshino meeting up with Kirishima and they should take care of her once they spot her. Shuma got really angry. He kicked the guy to his face with his knee and then told him to keep her name out of his filthy mouth. He then started dodging the next guy's knight baton and then pushed him back. He beat up the guys on his own until the guy with the red wavy hair appeared. It seems the first guy who got hit to the face with his knee was waking up. The guy with the red hair smacked his head against the wall, feeling disgusted that he touched his hair. He looked at Shioda and told her that they should hang out together sometimes. Shuma came out of the room and grabbed Shioda by the arm and started walking. So the red hair guy looked at him and asked if he was Kirishima. But Shuma insulted his red hair, so the guy got pissed off and attempted to punch him, but Shuma was prepared for him and blocked it with his forearm. The hit did carve in his forearm. The red hair guy got so mad that Shuma insulted his red hair and told him he wanted it to do it like that. But Shuma told him he doesn't really care and insulted him again. Meanwhile, Yoshino was sitting with Azu in the bar trying to make him stay as long as possible while drinking non-alcoholic drinks. Azu was confused and got up and told her he was going to the bathroom. He went outside the bar and the guys he was sitting called him on his phone, yelling at him. They told him Kirishima called them and even left them a map to his place, so he's taking the thugs in the warehouse and is going to take them to the location he had drawn. Yoshino was sneaking on him and eavesdropping. Azu didn't notice her and went to the place they were heading. Yoshino tried to follow him, but she received a call from Kirishima. Yoshino started telling him he should have made what she asked for by losing the thugs following him and taking the room she had told him about and then meeting up with her and Shioda too. Kirishima started explaining to her that he doesn't really want them to follow him and hurt her, so that's exactly why he didn't come to Azu. He started begging her to go back home cause he's worried about her. She told him that she had known that him and Azu were making trouble all the time because this is Osaka and not just the average Tokyo. Yoshino then sighs and her eyes turns into golden color. She looked extremely psychotic at that point. She started talking to Kirishima in an angry tone, telling him that he'd better take care of himself and never get uncovered or just die standing like a man. Yoshino did sound crazy. Kirishima stayed silent for a while and then told her he's about to reach the age 18 next November because that's his real age and he never told anyone before. He thinks that she's the only one who can marry him and he's the only who can marry her, and they just work together just fine. Yoshino started calling him crazy for telling her stuff like that in such a situation. He told her it's because he can never see himself with anyone else. Kirishima then started a bit with Yoshino about his life, telling her that he will end this whole situation before tomorrow's midnight, and if he did not win the bit he will never ever talk about marriage again. Yoshino told him that she accepts his bet and she's looking forward to it, but he has to stay alive. She stopped a taxi and got in the car while speaking with him. She told him that he only wins if he finishes before midnight and after defeating her. The thugs who were trying to find Kirishima stopped at the place they got on the map sent to them by Kirishima. It was a crowded place for tourists to watch the fireworks. They decided to split in half and roam around the crowd searching for Kirishima. Yoshino did not like to stay at home, so she decided to go over to that location too. While walking through the crowd, she noticed Azu trying to get past through the tourists. Yoshino bent over and ripped her skirt to give her space so she could sprint. The thugs were annoyed. They keep on pumping into other tourists, so their leaders gives them an order to walk on the sides through the woods, while the common thugs wander around searching for Kirishima. Kirishima jumps out behind one of them, breaking his neck, and then appeared behind the other guy, grabbing his knife and sliding it inside his mouth. Kirishima threatened him to kill him if he didn't answer his questions completely. Meanwhile, Azu was walking and found the leader thug he was sitting with. He pulled his shirt, scolding him for going to the location Kirishima had told him about. The thug was angry and threatened to kill Azu if he did not let him go. Azu was mad still, so the thug leader pulled on his arm roughly to somewhere empty of people. Once they arrived, Azu threatened the thug that Izami was going to kill him if he had hurt Azu. Meanwhile, Yoshino saw the whole thing. She gets sprinting right after them until she heard them speaking. Azu started telling him that he wasn't any kind of normal Yakuza because in the past Azu had a problem with some other Yakuza, but he didn't tell anybody about, and suddenly Izami offered him his help. Azu had to accept the offer because he was in a bad position and didn't want to tell his father. Izami had taken care of the problem, but they never found the guys he had taken care of, and nobody ever heard about them again, even their leader. And then Izami also disappeared and did not ask for any money. Later on, he came back and wanted to have his favor back from Azu, and he's probably using them right now for a specific reason. Meanwhile, the rest of the thugs were calling the two common thugs roaming in the woods. The thug answered the call and told them to come to the public restroom in the park, but after a few seconds the thugs understood that something was wrong. They knew Kirishima was there, so he had finally spoken to them and told them he doesn't feel like having them each one on their own, so he wants them to come all together. He then told them they should thank him for letting them stay in Japan after what they did with Akaza, instead of trying to take revenge from him. And if they want to end it now, they should send Azu and their leader both at once so he can finish it. He then knocks down the guy he was holding as hostage. Meanwhile, the thug leader was in the empty part who had acknowledged that someone was hiding behind the bushes, but he never knew who it was. Yoshino was shaking sizzling noodles. She then had no chance to leave at this point, so she grabbed a wooden stick and got out from behind the bushes to talk to him with no fear. The thug had pulled out a knife and started telling her what he was going to do to her in front of Kirishima before killing her, before he could attack. The lights went out. Yoshino took advantage and rushed towards the thug and slammed the stick aggressively on his face, breaking the stick from how hard she applied the hit. The thug fell down on his back but then stood up and punched Yoshino in the face, making her fall back and started bleeding from her nose. The thug tried to take advantage and stab her, but she yelled while looking behind him, calling for Kirishima. The thug thought Kirishima was behind him, so she took advantage of that and started running away from him in a silly sprint. Meanwhile, the rest of the thugs scattered around the park. Kirishima started to stealthy take out one after another, kicking one in the face, slamming one on their head between the crowd. Until he reached the last two of them, he started fighting with them, finishing one off. And then the other guy had got zapped to the neck from Izami, who Kirishima had looked at and smiled. Yoshino was walking now through the crowd trying to hide from the thug who tried to kill. She seemed like she had lost the teeth from his punch and was very mad, turning around to see the guy walking behind her from afar, so she bends down to hide from between people, and then she noticed a sign which says a garage is nearby. Meanwhile, our Kirishima is talking to Izami, telling him that he knows he's been the one making all this fuss. But Izami wasn't interested in Kirishima at all. He kept looking left and right as if he was searching for someone. He then told Kirishima that he doesn't see Yoshino around him, so he will just leave him be. Izami turned around and attempted to leave, but Kirishima sprinted after him to hit him, but Izami had already turned around and held Kirishima's collar. They started staring at each other. Kirishima smiled and told him that he can find another girl, and Yoshino isn't that special regardless of her body and face. Izami told him that he has something to do with her. Kirishima did not like that answer and threw a kick at his face, but he stopped it, and they started having an intense, well-done fight. Kirishima flipped him over, but then Izami managed to grab his arm tightly and flopped him away. Kirishima pulled out a shuriken and sprinted towards Izami and started swinging the knife at him, only to cut his mask to reveal his face. Kirishima was in shock to see his face. It seemed like they know each other a lot. He had already dug the shuriken into his forearm, but Izami had already dug his teeth into Kirishima's forearm too. Kirishima said his name and asked what happened to him and his face. Kirishima was very serious finally for once. The lights had returned back while Izami and Kirishima stared at each other. People had already seen the bodies laying on the floor. Kirishima started telling Izami in a sarcastic tone to leave before the cops come and see his friends and take them all to jail. Izami was unimpressed and picked the mask up and wore it back on his face. He told Kirishima that he doesn't really care about him as long as Yoshino is not there. Kirishima was annoyed. He told him that he'd better kill him since he's already at it. Izami told him that he doesn't care about him like the other stupid thugs wasting their time, and left. Meanwhile, Yoshino was sprinting as hard as she could, panting while the leader thug ran after her. He tried as hard as he can to catch her. Yoshino had already reached for the garage where they rent bikes. She hid somewhere while the guy searched for her, then suddenly she appears in front of him while riding the bike slamming him with the wheel in his face, making a perfect stunt even Tony Hawk cannot perform. She then stood in front of him in no fear, holding up a high voltage defense shocker, mocking him, and then she shocked him down till he fainted. Meanwhile, Shuma was already with Kyoto, still fighting with the red-haired guy. They were having an intense fight. Shuma eventually managed to push him against the wall and grabbed his tie and backflipped, slamming him into a trash can. The guy falling down against the trash can got a call. He stopped Shuma for a break and looked angry. It seemed like they were asking him to leave at once, and Azami wasn't answering his calls. Shuma asked him about what he would want from Kirishima, but then the haired guy told him he doesn't care about him and he's here for work, and in the next few seasons something massive will happen between the Yakuza, and Kirishima is involved. He left and Shuma picked up his phone to check for Yoshino and started sprinting. Kyoto just ran after him helplessly. After that, Azu was on his knees checking the blood coming out of his nose. He looked up to find Yoshino and Kirishima both looking at him with golden eyes, smirking, while Yoshino tells him they haven't finished the drink at the bar and they should continue what they were doing. Kirishima was sitting in the cafe with Yoshino trying to sew her ripped up skirt, telling her he should do it or somebody would see her bare legs. He also told her he bought ice and first aid kit to take care of her wounds. Azu was sitting with them at the table, slams the glass down and spits to the side. She then looked at Azu and told him he should cheer up a little bit. She also started to explain to both of them how she found out about Azu, especially since she found him in a cove renting a flat, and she knew it was a suspicious, especially since she saw the car with the Tokyo card number with the thugs who used to hang out with Yakuza. She knew they were probably coming after Kirishima. Kirishima was surprised with what she said and told her how she managed to keep Azu in the hotel. She told him that she started having drinks with him and food which made him stay. After that, Azu replied to them and said that they got the idea wrong. He just heard that Kirishima and Kyoto are having an affair together, so he felt kind of jealous. He only wanted to go back to her, so that's probably why he had to do the threatening approach. And who would actually date a guy from the Yakuza while having such a successful career? It'd have made her life worse. Kirishima smiled and started speaking to him. He told him that he knew everything about him and he actually tried to go through Kyoto just to reach him, since he was trying to make Kyoto have the same fate every other girl had met him receive. He knew about his dad and his mom who worked as a news reporter, but he also managed to get a video of his mother and another guy doing something illegal behind his dad which could also ruin her career. So he should delete whatever he had got for Kyoto and never to threat her again with whatever he's doing and forget about her completely. He showed him the video of his mother too. Azu got mad and slammed the phone against the floor. Kirishima smiled and picked it up and told him that he wasn't the one with her though, and it was how Azu arranges other females with rich men. Azu got mad and told him that he did not win like that and he could basically go to the police and tell them the Yakuza is threatening him and they would believe him and end their pathetic lives. Yoshino told him that she can simply do the same by telling police he was offering her alcohol while she's still an underage girl. Azu was in shock, telling her that she's lying, but Yoshino pulled out her ID and showed him her birthday date. Azu had not another option to agree and go along with them, telling them that he will leave them alone and hope to not see their faces again. Kyoto had been already recording it. Later, Shuma walked with Yoshino to the garage while she fixes his hair and told him that she never saw him in such a state for a long time. They walked to the small van she used to stalk Azu and watch from it. He wondered why she chose such a suspicious car. She told him she had no other option but to take it quickly and go to that place. He asked her why did she not answer his calls. She apologized and told him that she didn't expect that Kirishima will involve him in this. She then told him that she's through, the guy had to beat his. Shuma squeezed her cheeks while she flails her arms and stutters she was joking in a funny manner. She then asked who was the guys he was fighting was the ones at the hotel. He told her that 3 of them are trash and 1 seemed to be tough and from the Yakuza, but he refused to believe this idea. And Azu is the son of a very big producer company which had to do with Takosa's Yakuza. They started getting flashbacks when Azu was talking to the leader thug about Azami, and Shuma with the red-haired guy telling him that there will be a lot of problems in the next few seasons, so he should retire from Yakuza for his own safety. Later on, we Kyoto walking along with Kirishima. She watched the video she had recorded and asked if it's gonna be useful to her. He told her that she shouldn't be afraid anymore because Azu isn't so stupid to do anything ever again after what happened. But just in case, she should stay under their vision just to make sure she's always safe. He then asked her if Yoshino ever talked about him back in the school when she was walking with Yoshino. Kyoto said that Yoshino didn't say more than Kirishima is someone she knows. Yoshino then told him to leave her because she doesn't like him and also because she seems stupid and got bad manners. Kirishima told her that he knows that Kyoto is smart and beautiful and even good in bed, but for Yoshino he'd sleep with any girl if she ever asked for it. Kyoto walked to him and slapped his face. Kirishima smiled at her and didn't say anything. She got in a taxi and asked him to delete her contacts and never text him again. He told her that he already have done that. Yoshino walked outside the hotel to check out for Kirishima and saw Kyoto riding the taxi. She looked to the other way pretending she doesn't see her, and the car left. Kurashima came back to Yoshino and smiled at her as she told him Shuma had taken his motorcycle and left, and she called for an Uber to leave. He asked about her wounds and then apologized for everything. He also knew about her following him with the small van. Even though he did not know who was following him, but riding a minivan with tinted windows was very suspicious. She told him she had glad to see what was going on with him entering that hotel then coming out with a girl, which has also not disappointed her. She then saw her at the school, so she decided to get closer to her since she saw her with him. She also had investigated about the 3 buildings Kirishima was roaming around, and she and Shuma had spoken with the state sellers about the buildings, and also heard the rumors of neighbors getting angry about noises coming from the building. She also had checked for the mutual friends between Shiota and Azu and saw they were friends over the internet. And also they went to the same school, so it definitely had to do with Kirishima. Kirishima told her he knew it wasn't as simple to know that he was in Kobe without any help. He pulled out the keychains and showed them to her, and told her that he knew she kept GPS attached to it to know his place. Yoshino asked to why he wouldn't throw it if he knew. He told her that he'd not throw a gift she had given to him. Yoshino explained that Tsubaki told her to find out if he actually loves her or not, and the fact she gave him this keychains was to see if he's going to throw it or will he actually keep it, and since he actually kept them, it seems that he does really have interest in her. He then told her that he thought she does not have any interest in him, and since he actually found that GPS with him, he knew right away that she cares about him, or at least where he's at. He'd rather have her hate him than having no interest about him at all. He grabbed her hands and held them up with a silly smile on his face. He then reminded her that he's still alive and it's midnight, so according to what she asked for, he should defeat her, but how would she want to do it? She told him that they're going to play rock, paper, scissors to see if she will date him or not. She started thinking of it and all the solutions that could happen to win in this, especially since she was a pro at this game. She finally chose scissors and Kirishima chose rock and lost. Kirishima was very happy to win and finally be her boyfriend. Later on, we see the guy who was in the picture with Gaku Mayayama talking to someone through the phone about Kirishima and Yoshino being in Osaka. Yoshino was sitting in front of her father's grave praying for him while the rest of the Yakuza stood there paying respect to the grave. Yoshino started talking with her grandpa, as he mentioned that her father got married in her age. Yoshino yelled at him in a silly look, telling him that he was 2 years older from her. Renji then asked her if she had makeup on, and it doesn't make much difference, but she in fact had it on to hide the bruises she got on her face. After that, Yoshino walked along with Tsubaki and they talked about how she managed to put on makeup to hide her bruises. Tsubaki noticed that Shuma was walking in front of them with a few steps looking angry, so she started teasing him and he replied with teases back. Then they started cussing each other with peep names. Yoshino explained to Kirishima that they have been always like that. It all started at that time Shuma walked in naked on Tsubaki while showering. He called her a prostitute and she told him that he at least should be turned on down there if she was so. Kirishima smiled and looked at Yoshino, then moved his hand over her cheek to remove a loosened eyelash. Shuma obviously got angry and grabbed her wrist and pulled her to walk along with him while Tsubaki smiles and tells him that they both hasn't gotten mature yet. They laughed at it. Later on, they went to a party Renji had thrown in their backyard. Kirishima greeted everyone and they greeted him back. Yoshino and Kirishima sat in the same table. Renji and Tsubaki were sitting at their table. Renji started telling Kirishima how he looked exactly like his grandfather. Tsubaki agreed with him even though she doesn't know his grandfather, but she loved Renji a lot. Yoshino wanted to give Kirishima a beer, but Renji told her he wouldn't want a beer because Gaku also didn't drink beer, and sugar was his enemy. He then asked Kirishima if he loves Yoshino and Kirishima replied that he loves her more than anyone else in the whole world. They kept chatting and laughing about stuff that had happened in the past, and Renji mentioned that Gaku was professional in rock, paper, scissors. Yoshio felt annoyed and turned her face to look at Kirishima as he feels anxious from her looking at him, so he turns her face to the other side. After that, someone people had greeted came to Renji, and they went down the basement passing by Shuma as Renji tells him to follow him in a bit. After that, Kirishima went down to the basement where Renji was and noticed blood on the wall. Renji told him he should not mind it and it was just Shuma in there moments ago. He then started asking him what happened in Osaka recently, and what kind of trouble have he put Yoshino into. He told him it was nothing special and it was just some guys wanting to take revenge from him, so they came after him. Renji punched his face and tugged on his bow tie. He told him to keep telling him about it. Kirishima kept talking after receiving the hit and told him how they were with Akaza back in Tokyo and they came after him to kill him and Yoshino wasn't involved. He kept punching and beating him up, which made Kirishima vomit from all the beating. Renji rubbed his head and told him that he really sounds like Gaku. He knew he'd throw up, so he only drank tea and nothing else. Later on, Yoshino was sitting with Tsubaki as they were fixing some light wires. Tsubaki asked Yoshino about her relationship with Kirishima so far. Yoshino told her that she wasn't dating him and she also did that just because he won her in rock, paper, scissors. Tsubaki told her that a deal is a deal and she should fulfill her side in all sort of ways like kissing and making out and sex as well. Yoshino felt annoyed and weird. She looked at Tsubaki, but Tsubaki comforted her and told her that she knows Kirishima and he will not force her to do what she doesn't want, but she shouldn't be using him as he's pretending to be nice and he might be sweet, but if he caught a grasp of her he's going to eat her alive. After that, Shuma was outside smoking cigarette with bruised face and bloody shirt getting beat up by Renji, his grandfather. Kirishima came out and walked towards him telling him if he could have won. Shuma had extinguished the cigarette and walked past Kirishima, hitting him with his shoulder. Kirishima had already snatched the cigarettes from his pocket along with a lighter with Yoshino's name on it. He smiled at the lighter and pulled out a cigarette while Shuma walks back towards him and grabbed his wrist. Kirishima left the lighter slide down into Shuma's hand as he takes it and turns around. He started pissing Shuma off by telling her that he had been replaced now, and Kirishima is taking Yoshino out on a date. He also started telling him that he's being treated like a loyal dog who does what was told him. Shuma didn't like getting called that and told him that everyone in their family does what they want on their own, and the only dog who follows orders is Kirishima, and he's nothing but a fly for him, so he won't give him much attention. Kirishima told him if he was a fly he'd have been able to kill him, and he should do it here and right now if he could. He also told him that he's mad Yoshino chose him over Shuma. Shuma sprinted towards him and punched him in the face. Kirishima stood back and got already fighting as Shuma tells him that she doesn't belong to both of them at all. They started fighting and wrestling intensely. Meanwhile, Yoshino was in her room with Tsubaki relocating his GPS because it was rented and wanted to give it back to its owner, but she noticed that Kirishima was in the middle of the park. She asked Tsubaki to come with her while grabbing a metallic bat. Kirishima was still fighting with Shuma in the park as they punch and kick each other until Kirishima had pulled out a knife, telling him he stole it from the kitchen and he should just finish him at this point. Shuma grabbed the knife Kirishima had already handed him to fight equally. Shuma threw dust in Kirishima's face and started attacking first as they slashed knives against each other. They held knives against each other's faces, but then out of nowhere Yoshino jumps with the bat, trying to slam it against both of them before tripping down to the floor and twisting her ankle. They rushed to help her, but she kicked Kirishima in his chest. She got up and asked them to take their shirts off and exchange shirts, and each one should sew the buttons for the other. Tsubaki was confused and smiled, wondering why she does that. Yoshino told her that she used to do that with Shuma every time he tried to make trouble with anyone, so he'd regret fighting with them again. She then asked Kirishima why did he start fighting with him. He did not answer, so she asked Shuma to flick her forehead every time he doesn't answer her. Kirishima told her that he doesn't understand why Shuma does this to her, and he'd never do such an action to her even if she asked for it. Or in the past few days when they walked together and she talked about her new clothes for 3,000 yen and he said it was alright and Kirishima loved it so much. She then asked him again why did he pick fight with Shuma. He then told her that told him he was going out with you now just to settle the arguments between them both. Yoshino then told him that the only reason to date him was to stop the arguments between both of them because it's probably the jealousy that ignites between them, but calling Kirishima a lover was probably going to fix it, so he should understand this clearly. She then asked Tsubaki to go back with Kirishima and leave her with Shuma because she wanted to talk with him alone. Kirishima and Tsubaki started walking back home as Tsubaki started giving Kirishima lessons about dating Yoshino and how he's secretive about what he got for Yoshino, wanting her to be interested into him, but he's still very secretive. He told her that he doesn't think he is, and Tsubaki laughed and told him that worse. While walking, she talked with him that he should invite her to his room often and study together for exams, and it's gonna be nice for both of them. Yoshino was now sitting with Shuma fixing his undershirt while he smoked next to her on the bench. She did not understand what was the point of him fighting with Kirishima all the time. He told her that he almost killed him. Yoshino was angry and told him that he had to intervene then. She then asked if he had a girlfriend so far. He told her that they broke up very recently. Yoshino told him what kind of person should she get married to if not Kirishima. Shuma answered her and told her it should be someone who knows how to kill him. Yoshino was surprised and asked him if he loved her or what. Shouta looked at her in disgust and called her gross. Yoshino said she was joking with him and gave him his undershirt. She then laid her arm against his shoulder and smiled at him, telling him that he will be her little Pookie Boo all the time and they should certainly watch some cartoon together sometimes. We see Yoshino going back to Tokyo, coming out of the ride she had. Inamori insists on taking her bags out of the trunk while Kirishima smiles at her and asks her to help her with the bags, but she refuses. The next day Kirishima was searching for Yoshino everywhere, but they told him that Inamori took her to the summer school by his car. Kirishima later arrived at school and finished the day and then went to her class. She was packing her stuff to leave. While he was talking to her, she ignores him completely as if he was a ghost, passing by him and walking away. Kirishima gets confused and follows her while talking, but she's still refusing to talk back or acknowledge his presence. Kirishima tried and tried and tried, but she ignored him completely. After that they arrived home and Inamori welcomed her back. While Kirishima standing there, she told Inamori that she came back home on her own. Everyone looks at her in shock as she turns around and leaves. It seems like she was mad of him for fighting to death with Shuma. Later that night he called Tsubaki while ringing on Yoshino's doorbell, but she wasn't answering him. He complained to Tsubaki about her attitude, but Tsubaki told him that it was average since he was using a knife while fighting with Yoshino. He kept ringing the bell while on the call with Tsubaki. She still did not answer. Tsubaki told him to leave her to calm down and just keep an eye on her for 24 hours. In the next day Kirishima made some of her favorite food and tried to ring her doorbell, but she did not answer. He tried at night with different kind of desserts but still did not answer. He slammed on the door with his fist the second day and she still wouldn't answer. He kept apologizing while the smile never leaving his face but without avail. He took all the food and gave it to his colleagues in the house such as Inamori and the bald guy, telling them that she wasn't answering and he's slightly worried about her, especially that she doesn't answer him at all. Kirishima started becoming psychotic and paranoid that she might be hurt hurt or ill, and they should take her to hospital, but the bald guy smacked his head. Sometime later, Kirishima was still at Yoshino's door and kept knocking on her door begging her to open, but she doesn't just open for him. It started raining and Kirishima sighed and sat down on a rock which was in front of her door. Finally, Yoshino opened the door while looking at him. She looked stunning. She checked the time as a timer rings. She told him that she came to the house on 7 p.m. 3 days ago, and now it's 7 p.m. so she had to avoid him for 3 days to make him learn the lesson. She then tells him about 3 conditions he must follow. First is to never call Shuma again. Second is to never pick fights with him. Third is if Shuma was the one who started, you should not push back. He agreed and apologized, and then Yoshino called him an idiot for staying all day long outside of her room and grabbed a towel, then started drying his hair afraid that he might get cold. She then told him that he shouldn't involve people in his bullshit ever again. Not Tsubaki, not Shuma, not Renji. He should keep them out of whatever they do together as long as it's about both of them. Kirishima agreed and told her that she will get wet from the rain. He picked her up by her hips and looked up at her eyes and told her that she looked very beautiful like a sun goddess in the rain. Yoshino blushed, and he puts her down. He then told her that this was the dress he gave her back a few days. She told him that she didn't want to come out normally or he might get angry about it, so she had to improvise. He sat down next to her and she told him that she doesn't like dresses as much as she likes jeans and such. And she also tries to keep whatever he brings her as fresh and is new to sell it if she needs money to guarantee him out of jail if it ever happened. Kirishima told her, is it just him or someone else like Shuma for example? Yoshino then told him that however harsh Shuma can be, Kirishima's chances of going to jail is higher because Shuma can take care of himself. Kirishima told her that Shuma is actually an example for the best Yakuza that anyone should want to be like. The young wants to be like him and the old likes him a lot. He got so many friends and Kirishima didn't have any friends and lots of people hate him, so he doesn't look forward to become a Yakuza. But hating Shuma doesn't mean he will deny the fact that he's perfect. He then told her that Shuma likes to hang around her most of the time, but Kirishima doesn't have anyone else to enjoy time with and she's all he got. Yoshino then asked him if he got any friends even though he just told her that he doesn't have any friends. Big proof for you guys to know how stupid she is. Kirishima answered to her by asking her the same question. She told him that she had a few friends at school before Shuma appearing in her life, and then everyone started avoiding her ever since. He then told her that he tried to make friends back when he was younger, but it did not work out well, so he felt like it was a waste of time. So he moved on. He wished that he and Yoshino had grown up close to each other so they could go to school together and go to each school together like life friends. But she then mentioned that he's her lover now. He blushed and nodded at her. Yoshino then asked him about what they're supposed to do as they date, but he scooted back and told her that they can hold hands. Yoshino agreed and took his hands and he started moving his hand through her hands. Yoshino started checking the bruises and wound he had on his hands and felt how coarse his hands were. So she decided to give him a hand softening cream and held the small box and applied some of the cream on her own hands. He kept spreading it while Yoshino feels uneasy. She watched carefully while looking at what he does. Kirishima smeared it all over her inner hands and then slowly bent his head and leaned down to take a long lick off her hands before pulling his back with a silly smile on her face and told her that it seems like it's not edible. She pulled her head back, then slammed it forward against his face, yelling at him for what he was doing. He told her that it looked like edible cream, so he wanted to try. Yoshino was so mad at him while he apologizes, and she told him he doesn't really mean to piss her off. Later on, they were sitting in her room watching new, talking about a garbage truck had recently hit one of Kirigea's office centers, which were related to Yoshino's family. Yoshino kept calling Shuma, but he did not answer her. Kirishima was sitting close to Yoshino as she feels silly about him, and finally Shuma answers the call. She asks if he's okay and he said he was fine, and it's something about the small outlets they owned had arguments and troubles together since their leader had got arrested recently. Shuma didn't know much about it, but he thinks it might get worse. Later we see at the head Yakuza in the Kirigea's office some boss sitting along with Renji, and the head one talking about the childish attitudes happening between the outlets. He apologized he had to involve Renji into all of this, but he got no other option. They left the office and the other boss stood next to Renji as Renji rests his arm over his arm while his ride arrives. The guy seemed annoyed, calling Renji childish. The other boss sat in his car while calling the guy with the blonde hair who was in the same picture as Gaku and Renji when they were young. It seems like they were planning something and they made all this fuss. The guy whispered to the blonde guy if he should take care of Renji so they could finish what they started, but he told him to leave it to him and he will take care of Renji on his own. Then he hung up the call and his butler came and told him that his ride was ready and had arrived. The butler noticed that the blonde guy's sleeve was dirty, but he told him it was just wine and he will take care of it at home. Later on we see the red-haired guy entering the room where Azami was laying down on the plain floor. It seems like he was beat up. He sat down at Azami's head and showed him a newspaper, which was a new school for third-grade high school students and fresh graduated students. And then, what will probably happen next? Kirishima was at the bakery store buying a cake for Yoshino and some flowers. After he had went home to check for Yoshino with a smile, he noticed Yoshino's feet laying on the floor. Kirishima's eyes widens as he throws everything out of his hands and rushed towards Yoshino to look down at her laying on the floor with her head on a pillow. He checked her heart rate and it seemed that she was fine and breathing. Yoshino was sleeping. He covered her with his jacket and softly laid next to her while Shuma was calling her, but her phone was on silent. Kirishima ignored it and softly moved his hand over her cheek and sighed.